there's any additional information they can get by the end of the meeting on that for us. Kia ora, Councillor, thank you. Right, extraordinary items, petitions, no public input. There is local board input. Kia ora. Oh, she just dropped off. We have Margie, Chair of the Albert Eden Local Board, who has, unfortunately, I saw her turning her camera on and then she disappeared. Oh, here she is. Kia ora, Margie, we can see you now. You dropped off.
Kia ora, yeah, tech issues.
Kia ora, nice to see you. Congratulations. Haven't seen you since the election, I don't think. If you know the drill, you got 5 minutes and there'll be, I'm sure, questions. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora koutou. Thank you for the opportunity today just to speak to item 12 of yours on the governing body submission, council submission on the Ministry for the Environment application on Eden Park. Can I just note that our feedback as a local board is attached at item 12.1 rather than where it looks like it's our feedback at 7.1 under local board input. So just bring that to the attention of the governing body. So 12.1 is where you will see our full submission. And in forming up our submission, I just wanted to advise that at that stage we had not had the opportunity to see the economic impact report that I now see on your agenda. That's done by council's economists, and we had just seen heard the draft of the peer review regarding noise. Next slide, please. Look, essentially there's lots that we support in this request. We support the ongoing provision of 12 large concerts, the more diverse use of the stadium. Around increasing the number of concerts, there is a concern about the pack in and pack out and the number of trucks going in and out and what that might do on the local road network and the impact that might have, but support the large concerts. We also support lifting the restrictions around currently they're not allowed to exceed 2,000 people for meetings or conferences and functions. We actually support that being extended. The curfews that are proposed for both sports and concerts, we consider that they are appropriate, of being 10:30 and 11:30, and the extension to the lighting so that people, patrons and guests and attendees can exit safely. And so that's bringing the lighting out to midnight. Next slide, please. However, we do have some concerns that we want to express to you and are captured in our feedback around the changes and addition to, well, the addition of 20 medium concerts per year. The reasons are that, and you'll see them in the John Stiles noise report, is the noise created by these extra 20 medium concerts is essentially the same as if they were large concerts. And so the level of noise, the duration, the character and the frequency in the noise report were concerning. And for that reason, the measurable impact of that meant that the noise report didn't support those extension of those activities. We also had some concerns around the arterial road, being Sandringham Road, and we know there's a disruption to our public transport network and the bus routes along there when there are large events. We don't know whether that would flip in and have effect at a medium event. And so we've highlighted, we think some work around TMP needs to be done. And if you refer to the noise report, you'll see that the 3-tier noise control regime that's proposed, the noise expert considered that they were insufficient to protect the neighbourhood on noise matters. I'm not going to go through everything, you'll be pleased, but this is all of it. We were concerned by the unlimited professional fireworks display, especially in light of some of the things we're seeing and hearing now about community calls for restrictions on the private sale of fireworks, and we're not sure what impact this might have on that, and the unlimited helicopter, a proposal for unlimited helicopter movements. Next slide, please. We were concerned about the process. And so we felt, just as it was 12 months ago, it is better suited through an independent commissioner panel to hear the evidence. So people, when they submit or provide feedback to the latest proposal, they would have had an opportunity to speak, provide further evidence and be heard in that more robust democratic process. That is not what's being proposed here, and it would be better if it was an Auckland unitary private plan change, or it's picked up in the unitary plan, so there's an opportunity really for people to respond. So we think that's more appropriate. We note it's only 13 months ago that we had the 12 large events approved by the independent panel. There were a lot of comments in that report about it taking it to the edge of what was acceptable. So there's some testing really that needed to be done and won't happen through this. We just raised some concerns around the noise standards, the lighting standards, and the traffic management to better avoid, mitigate, or remedy some of those negative impacts. We think it can be done, but there's no opportunity to test that and work through that. We also felt there was an opportunity to review membership of the community liaison group that meets bi-monthly to talk about the impacts of activities at the park, and that's led by Eden Park. It was great to see that Eden Park and Nick Saltner, when he came to speak to us last week, was supportive of some town hall style meetings where people could come in and talk about what those issues were, rather than having to be a requirement for people to be part of the CLG. And we want to see the environmental monitoring being undertaken around noise. Next slide, please. We are very aware that some of the negative impacts of activity at Eden Park are not always regarding traffic felt within the traffic management area. It's people just outside that are then impacted by activity and the parking and congestion in the streets, and they can't get cars through. And so we actually thought reconsideration of the TMP area would be well worthwhile, because we get a sense that it's not actually far enough. We are also want to see some really real robustness around who funds the TMP work. Currently, for a large event, Auckland Transport's putting up to $300,000 for each event to fund some of the TMP elements. That's a huge cost borne by the council. There's also concern for our local board about who's going to pick that up once we have transport reform, because essentially local boards are in that space and may have to pick up that tab. So that's $3 million a year. We want to see that integrated ticketing around TMP extended to get more people by public transport. And we see the real opportunity for some permanent secure bike storage on site to decrease carbon footprint. Next slide, please. One of the big issues that came up in the October 2024 decision was about respite for community. And there are some things that were built into that around one free weekend every 5 weeks, and all the board agreed that there was space for some free weekends where there weren't large events on. In the proposal, this is saying about 8-hour events. We think 5 to 6 is adequate for a high level of noise, rather than pushing it out to the 8. There are some real safety nets around where large truck movements and exits are, out onto Sandringham Road through Great Gate Q. So building in some respite when we've got longer events, more frequent events, and more noise and more traffic is critical in the general area. Very last slide is we also just wanted to ensure that there's protection in any changes to domestic level cricket, which is included in the trust deed and one of the primary objects of the trust. And we know that potentially when you've got more large scale events, then something might have to give in that other space. So we wanted to ensure that was there. And we very much understand that the government wanted to understand the economic benefit and employment I think the economic report, which we hadn't been aware of, and has only just gone up on your site, actually talked to many of those things, and there were some queries over there. So that's my presentation. Happy to take any questions. Yeah, thank you.
Kia ora, Chair Watson. Thank you very much for that fulsome piece of feedback. I have some questions, one from Councillor Newman.
Thank you.
Oh, I didn't see the Councillor Fletcher, sorry. This is a new system, Councillor Fletcher. I'll let you go first, sorry.
Thank you, Maggie, for your presentation. I just want you to speak further to the issue around no Sunday concerts. I know that you've already spoken to what the respite for the neighbourhood, but I'm just interested in the economics behind bringing some of the bigger acts to Auckland and whether there will need to be some flexibility around that. Could you speak further to the advocacy you've brought to no Sunday concerts unless Sunday precedes a public holiday?
Yeah, sure. And I think that was tested quite thoroughly in October 2024. And we supported the continuation of that rule. There are 52 Sundays in the year, and there are 310 other days in the year. So it's building in some respite. But the no Sundays was strongly supported by residents in previous hearings. And so it was an opportunity to bring that through as part of the respite package. We're aware that, if something gets rained out on a Saturday and it needs to then roll over onto the Sunday, there are some possibilities around Sundays, but other than that, it should be considered as part of that respite for the surrounding community.
So you see some flexibility rather than an enshrined no Sundays, you see some flexibility around Sunday?
Oh, no, my understanding is there's already an ability that it becomes a rain date if something happened.
No, I was just in terms of your advocacy, just trying to absolutely understand that. Thanks for that.
No Sunday was the intent. Thank you.
Kia ora. Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Newman.
Good morning, Chair. My apologies for late arrival. Thank you, Margie.
Thank you for your message. Sorry.
Thank you, Margie, for the presentation. With respect to the bullet point, surety around domestic level cricket, can I just understand, is that in relation to wanting protection for first class cricket to be played on the outer oval, or is it about Auckland cricket's future locations so that they have a home for administrative purposes?
Thank you, Councillor Newman. Look, we've just got that high level point because it's referred to in the trust deed, and the cricket have a representative on the Eden Park Trust Board, and so we wanted to ensure that it didn't displace cricket out of the area that it was required to be according to the trust deed. So I can't go into more detail about whether it should be what domestic level of cricket, but there needs to be domestic in there, not just all test match.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Foley.
Kia ora, thanks Chair, thanks Margie for your presentation as well. Just a few questions. First of all, your concerns you raise about the New Year's Eve curfew at 1 a.m. If you could elaborate a bit on that. I mean, I'm mindful that New Year's Eve is sort of the night where a lot of us stay up past 1 a.m. and it's kind of acceptance of that, a universal acceptance. But if that's not the case in Albert Eden, I'd be, keen to hear. Then the other one is around the medium concerts, the 20 medium concerts. Is there a lesser number that your local board would think is reasonable? Is there something you would propose as a compromise instead of the 20? Kia ora, thank you.
Yeah. Look, maybe I do the medium first. This is the feedback of the board. I can't provide another number. I can't think up another number on the spot that would be appropriate for me to share because this is the feedback of the board. But what I'm aware of is that the noise from the medium events is clear in the noise report that the level of noise from those events will be likely the same as a large event. so that we're increasing the ceiling being from 12 loud events to potentially 32 loud events. And I think that's captured really well in the noise report, and we were verbally apprised of that information when we were briefed last week. So that's the piece around medium events. Look, curfew, we're just aware that this isn't the city centre. And yes, lots of people stay up, except maybe parents of very young children. And but this isn't the city centre, and we felt that it was appropriate that the curfew didn't go out till 1 a.m. because then it's potentially 2 a.m. or before everyone's left the area and there's noise and disruption to a far greater level than you would have had at a concert. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kia ora, Councillor. Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Margie. Appreciate you talking to us today. When you put your feedback through on this, was that feedback based on some sort of community feedback that you'd had, or is it your own feedback? I'm just interested in the basis for your feedback on this proposal. And I say that because I've read the MP for Mount Albert's survey results from the community, and I can see a disparate, almost a disparate attitude. So I'm just interested in how you formed your views on.
Yep, sure. Look, the community, we're not the organisation, the community were asked to provide their feedback. We don't know what the community feedback is. That's gone to the ministry. So we haven't seen that. What we have seen, I'm aware that in the Helen Clark survey, it was really clear there was support for 12 concerts. We support 12 concerts. The 12 large concerts that got approved last year. In looking at this feedback, we read the insight report. We took advice from the staff around noise, and then had to adjourn to discuss that a little bit more because we needed to understand it more before resolving. And the feedback in the report regarding October 2024's decision. So I didn't think there was such a global shift on what people thought and considered important to capture in any resolutions. There'd been a global shift in 13 months. So that's what formed that up. We had a presentation from one of the Eden Park groups, one of the associations, and at our public forum, who expressed real concerns about what it was like for him and his 70 members in the neighbourhood. So we did get some public forum come along and talk to us as well, but it will be interesting to just see what comes back from the ministry consultation.
Thank you.
Kia ora, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Ferry.
Kia ora, thanks Margie, and I just want to acknowledge you've stepped out of your business meeting to present to us today, so really appreciate that. Hopefully we won't take up too much more of your time. I just wondered if you wouldn't mind expanding a little bit more on that split in the community feedback, because I think that's something that might be important for people not familiar with the area to understand, that there is stuff coming through that shows community support for more events. There's also people who are concerned about the impact of those events, and those two things sometimes can be the same people, sometimes can be different groups of people. So I wondered if you just might expand a little bit more on, this has been a long-term discussion in that community. So if you wouldn't mind explaining that a little bit more, I think that would be useful for my colleagues. Thanks.
Thank you for the question. Look, I've managed the consenting on the local board for the previous 3 years. So all the Eden Park resource consent requests have come through, and I've had multiple number in that time. And what's been really clear in the feedback that we've provided is we may not have a view on things, but we actually want to see that the community view is considered as part of those decisions, because we do hear that traffic is problematic. We have people that say that they can't have a barbecue on a Saturday afternoon because when there's an event at Eden Park, they can't get inside the TMP, and their in-laws can't drive in and park at their place to come for the family barbecue. And if we've got potentially 32 large events, medium or large events, that might knock out every weekend for them. So there's some concern about that, and we refer to that around some other passes that might be possible. So traffic's problematic. We have had people contact us that say they're trying to catch the bus and they live along there and they can't find where the bus is being diverted to, the public buses that run along there. So there's a disruption traffic-wise. There's and then there's the noise impact. And sometimes it's about which way the wind's blowing, let's be honest, who gets most impacted. But we've had people concerned about the noise, but there are other people who rightfully say it's not an issue. We have community groups at a local park who then have to look at whether they have to change their activities and events because they're not going to be able to get parking in the area for people that might come from a wider area, and those are one of our community hubs. That's one of our equivalent of a men's shed in Auckland Central, are just down the road from the Eden Park, and their space gets parked out by people attending games. So there's groups and individuals who are negatively impacted, but other people who love everything about it. So it's finding that balance and what works. And that's why I refer you back to the October 2024 decision, where it's very clear is that Eden Park said that they didn't think they needed more than 12. There was a whole lot of discussion about that, and in that report, it said the Commissioner's view was it takes it right to the edge of acceptability, approving the 12. Going any further would not be acceptable. So it took them right up to that limit. So it's about managing those impacts and making it good for everyone. Hope that helps.
Yes, thank you.
Kia ora, Councillor. Thank you. Mayor Brown.
Thanks for that. For your fairly Presbyterian input there.
And go Presbyterian as well.
It's an interesting thing. I think it's far too expensive, and I want to make sure we standardise it. So you raise a good point there. But if they've got a 5-hour event, we close it off at the start and we close it off at the end, but we close it off through the middle. And I think we should that's the bit that annoys the locals. If they could have it for 1 hour either side of the entry and a bit at the end, but there's no traffic, and while it's on, we should be able to drive around to their friend's place. But then again, half the other people rent their gardens out for parking. So there's two sides of everything on that one there. Mm. And then with review of the anti-Sunday things, have you checked with the business traders along Kingsland? Because I'm bloody sure they want people on Sundays up there. And we are a country which is one of the few in the world where a majority are not religious. I'm very proud of that. How do you feel about that?
It's about respite more than religion, I have to say. We had Metallica on a Wednesday night. So some people might say, well, that was a school night. So, and people still got up and went to school and went to work the next day. So it's not based on religion. This is actually based on building in some respite into people's weekends and week when hopefully they can enjoy some peace and quiet and amenity. But I assume that the Kingsland Business Association, like lots of other groups, submitted to the ministry's consultation period when it was open. I assume they would have been shocked if they hadn't. So I can't speak for them. I think the other bit around TMP, though, is what we know around public transport is people want reliable, and your bus is going to turn up. When you don't know where your bus is going to be, it puts people off public transport and it disadvantages some people. And that potentially, if it could open up in the interim, well, that would be great. However, people still won't know where to go to catch the bus in that 2 hours beforehand and that 2 hours afterwards. So making something effective and reliable so people will use PT is really critical for this city. And it just gets very disrupted here when we're, only a couple of k's from the city, 3 k's from the city centre, and we're trying to move people around.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are issues with the TMP and it needs to be reviewed. And
going to the event. But the other thing that you say nothing's changed. What's changing is that we're having TP 120 and we're going to intensify around that area hugely. and there's going to be a lot more people living there shortly than are there now. Those people will be aware that Eden Park is there. I'll be most surprised if anyone moves into an apartment in Kingsland and is unaware that Eden Park's there. So that the people the increase in population is going to be well aware of what they're going into. So I think it might change a bit, because at the moment there's a bit of a reactive group from people who are there and enjoying a peace and quiet, which may well change as a result of building City Rail Link. But having built City Rail Link, we want people to catch the bloody trains. So how do you feel about that?
Oh, well, Plan Change 120 sits with you and the governing body, and when that comes through, that may well be the case, but that's not the case right today and now. We don't have 15 stories in the area, and so while we go through that process, this might be a premature application to increase usage of the stadium. But so the plan changes still to run through. So I can't comment on that. That's future. And when that comes through, we know there's already a lot of pushback from that community, I have to say, around the removal of special character areas. And they are pushing back very heavily around the 15-storey around walkable catchments, including at Kingsland Station. So you will no doubt hear more about that as well. So some things, some people want to stay the same, and some things people want to see changed.
But it's coming one way or another. So I think you should start querying your people about how they're going to feel about that. Because not only is TP 120 going through a process here, having spent the money and having a government clambering all over us saying we've got to intensify there, it's going to be fairly hard for it not to be intensified. We should actually make your local board starting to think about the impact of that. They can't just say it's not going to happen because there's a bit of a proposal from some character houses. It will. It would be hiding you from reality to suggest that there isn't going to be intensification there. And I think the other thing is I noticed that they don't want fireworks. A lot of us love fireworks. That's not another. People who don't like fireworks seem to think they're speaking on behalf of everybody. But that's not true either. All right, just thought I'd balance that and let you think about that.
Yep.
I think you should think about intensification one way or another. It's fairly hard to imagine it's not going to happen. Thank you very much for your report anyhow, and obviously it's quite a long one and you've thought about things a lot. Thank you.
That's right. And just responding through our local board plan, intensification is one of the major issues and challenges, and how we respond to that regarding infrastructure and other things that need to happen to support that. So, yeah, it is top of mind for the local board. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Oh, yeah, Councillor Burns.
Sorry. Thank you, Margie. I was just wondering, with your local board weighing up 15 potential later nights going to sleep versus the prosperity of your local businesses in the wider regions in the city, what weighs out more important? The businesses being busy and surviving and offering jobs to local kids and people, or 15 extra nights staying up later?
I think it's 30, so the application's for 30, not 15, on top of the current 12. I think that's responded. Look, we didn't have the economic report. We support our the activity, local activity, and we've been trying to work through getting an economic broker working in our area, as well as the 4 bids and business associations we've got. The 2 business associations. So we do think about prosperity locally, but I think I would direct you to have a read of the economic report that the Chief Economist for Council's written about how much will that actually deliver, because that was an interesting read for me yesterday.
Kia ora, Councillor. Right, thank you, Margie. Appreciate the feedback from the local board, and I'll get Councillor Ferry and Councillor Fletcher to move and second your thanks, I assume. All those in favour? Aye. Any opposed? No. Thank you.
Kia ora, have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Chair, I note that we have Claire from the Kingsland Business Association present when the appropriate time comes, because I don't see her on the agenda. Will
Yes.
she be given the opportunity to speak about the economic impact on Kingsland?
So that would be quite out of order. We've gone past public forum, and as far as we know, no one has contacted us yesterday to do that. I had offered if Nick wanted to speak, but he said no. But I have said to him that after the presentation at the item, people might want to ask questions of him, but because the item's specifically about Eden Park, but I don't believe the Kingsland Business Association asked for public forum, and that has to happen the day before.
Thank you for that clarification.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, we should be able to go back to public forum at your discretion.
Yep, but the public forum, we don't basically have people turn up and ask public forum at the time. It needs to be within the day before. Yep. And I have said that Nick is welcome to speak because he said no, but I'm happy to change if he's changed his mind. Yeah, but at the item, if that's all right. Yeah. Right, sorry. We will go to Orake, to Tahuna Toria, and Waiheke